Often there's a quiet pull to accommodate others' needs, to adjust or overthink, even when nothing's been asked of us. In this episode, I'll explore how people-pleasing becomes second nature and our default setting, what it takes from us when it runs on autopilot, and how to choose from authenticity instead of assumption. Hey lady, welcome to the Highly Sensitive Woman podcast. Do you struggle with self-doubt, setting boundaries, or feeling overwhelmed? My name is Alyssa, and I'm a highly sensitive woman who spent years trying to fit in, ignoring my own needs, and living in constant fear of disappointing others. But I finally discovered the power of embracing who I am, and now I don't feel so broken. In this podcast, you'll learn to find your voice, set boundaries, and live with bold confidence and inner peace. Grab a cozy blanket. It's time to connect with someone just like you. It is episode 33 of The Highly Sensitive Woman, and here in Indiana where I am recording, it is a beautiful fall day, and I just absolutely love the fall. It is my favorite season. I love all of the changes in colors and the cooler temperatures and spending time in nature. And recently I had an experience where I wanted to go spend some time in nature, and my people-pleasing was sort of very much in the forefront and kind of my default thinking. I have someone special in my life at this time, and I'll talk more about that in a future episode, but for the purposes of this, I mention it because he was going to go do his workout and I wanted to go do mine and spend some time out in nature. And after I had finished up with work for the day and taken the dog for a walk and all of those things, I noticed that if I was going to be finished with my workout at the same time that he was finished with his, I was going to have to shorten mine. And what was interesting about that is when I noticed that I was getting frustrated, I realized that that wasn't the expectation of me. He said nothing about me finishing at the same time as him and did not ask that of me, was not expecting that of me. And I really had this kind of internal struggle about what to do. And when I recognized that I was kind of people-pleasing out of default, I took a moment and was like, I'm going to do my full workout and I will be finished and he will be fine and the rest of our evening will be great. And that's exactly what happened. But it got me to thinking about how often we kind of just naturally fall into people pleasing, even when no one is expecting that of us, just because we have done it so much in our lives. And we have this urge to accommodate. We have this kind of default wiring. And I really wanted to spend some time today talking about why we keep trying to meet expectations that don't even exist. So much of it goes back to kind of the way that we have been raised, and I don't necessarily mean just by our parents. I mean societally, or the way that we have been conditioned in our previous relationships. And what happens is people-pleasing kind of becomes our default because it has become a thought pattern, not just a behavior. And we have worn those thought pattern, people-pleasing grooves very, very deeply in our brains. And so it's just kind of a mental reflex. We don't even realize that we are doing it, and we're doing it a lot. We are accustomed to scanning other people's needs before our own. And again, even when no one is asking that of us, we are still doing it. And what happens kind of internally, that dialogue, it's often followed by some guilt and anxiety, and there's this urge to be perceived as a very considerate and easygoing person. And it shows up in sometimes very small, unnoticeable ways. Like this one, for example, it was actually pretty small that I was trying to be finished at the same time as him. Changing plans or softening opinions or trying to manage others' emotions before they've even expressed a need that they might want or need our help with managing their emotions. Those are some of the ways that this default thinking pattern and people pleasing can show up. And it really does take a shift in consciousness because this is happening very unconsciously a lot of the time. So shifting our awareness to bring that unconscious thought pattern to the surface so that it can become a choice and not just our conditioning. We often think that there is this link between being helpful or accommodating and our worth as women. And I just want to tell you that you are worthy even if you take time for yourself. And even if you don't have a default pattern of people pleasing, you are still worthy. I know there is a fear of disappointing others and being seen as selfish, and that you want to avoid conflict and rejection, and you find so much safety in the approval of others. And there is so much freedom on the other side of that, and you are still very worthy. You are not selfish. You can still help other people while taking care of your wants and your needs and your desires. So often this reflex is a form of self-protection, and it makes complete sense. And maybe we have learned it from other relationships where there might have been a situation that helped, kind of create these grooves. And what happens is this pattern, it keeps showing up even when you are in very safe and loving and understanding relationships. So some signs that you might be automatically defaulting to people pleasing: if you find yourself adjusting plans before you've ever even checked with someone to see if it's needed; if you feel an urge to explain or justify your choices even though no one has questioned them; or if you find yourself having this combined feeling of relief and guilt when you choose what you want. If you start noticing those things as you are going through your day-to-day life and you catch your own thought spiral, then that awareness is going to allow you to shift. So for me, in that moment, I found myself getting kind of irritated actually and feeling like there was this kind of unfairness that I was working and I took the dog for a walk, and now because of that I have to shorten my workout so that I can be done when he's done. And when I realized I was saying all of this and that he never said any of those things to me, that I had the choice and I did not have to compromise and adjust and make those changes, that I could choose what I really wanted. And there was a lot of relief. And I'm not going to lie, there was a little bit of guilt that cropped up. And I had to kind of work through that as I was out on the trail and amongst the trees, because that guilt was not mine to have. There was no guilt that needed to be part of that experience. And so working to release that. And what was really amazing is, I find nature so therapeutic. I got the workout that I wanted, but I also felt such a release of those emotions and thoughts that had been creeping up. So it is really important that we take some action to start unlearning our default. So one way to do that is to pause and check in and ask yourself, did someone ask this of me? Next, you can name the impulse that you are having. This is just my people-pleasing pattern showing up. And then after you've named it, you can re-anchor and ask yourself, what do I want or need right now? And follow that up with redefining what it means to, quote, be considerate. Because being considerate can be adjusting and accommodating the other person, but being considerate can also include respecting your own needs. After you have re-anchored, you can practice tolerating the discomfort. And believe me, there will be discomfort. Even when you have been doing it for a while and you are getting better at not slipping into that default pattern, there's still going to be discomfort. And so learning how to tolerate that and letting go of the urge to preempt others' needs is going to be really powerful. And then when you have done those things, I really want you to celebrate the awareness, because each moment that you notice the pattern, that is some progress. People-pleasing isn't always about others' expectations. It's often about our assumed ones. So I just want to encourage you to start noticing where you are having the automatic yes or the automatic adjustment, and taking that long pause to see if it's really necessary. Because awareness is most definitely the first step toward your freedom. And it's not about doing less for others. It's really about choosing from a place of authenticity and what aligns for you versus a sense of obligation. And when you practice small acts of self-honoring in your everyday choices, you will start to see a shift, and you're going to start creating some new grooves and some new thought patterns. So I want to leave you with a couple of questions to think about over the next handful of days, weeks, or months even. Where in my life do I assume expectations that no one has actually placed on me? And what would change if I trusted others to handle their own needs? And I just want to leave you with one final thought, that you can be kind and thoughtful toward other people without disappearing and losing yourself in the process. Until next time, take care. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who may be feeling like she's broken too? I'd love it if you'd leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. It brings me so much joy to know this podcast is helping you. Now it's time for me to stop talking and go soothe my senses in nature. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode. Take care.